Hello everybody. This is the first video in a series of how to play scales effectively and beautifully on the viola. This first video focuses on the C major 1-octave scale starting on the C string. It is simple but very effective. The video is a little on the long side, but I do suggest that you watch the whole thing and try all of the exercises that I do. I thought of shortening the video to make it a little bit easier to watch, but when I watched it, I realized that most of the things are very important, and in order to get a solid foundation of scale playing, I think all of the exercises are very important. To make things a little bit easier, I put chapters down in the comments section for you to figure out where you need more help or where you want to watch things or if you want to skip around a little bit. Please leave comments in the comments section telling me which parts of this video were very helpful for you. Sometimes it's wonderful to practice the most simple things on your instrument. So today's video is going to concentrate on playing a 1-octave C major scale starting on open C. Why do I do this? Well, on the viola, the characteristic of the instrument is really found on the C string. So why not start by practicing on the C string every day? So I'll play a 1-octave scale, very simple. Why practice scales in the first place? I asked one of my students yesterday, what do you think people look for when they watch you play scales? The answer was technique. Well, that's true. We do look at somebody's technique, but more importantly, I like to look at someone's general approach to the instrument. So everything becomes a study of approach. And what kind of approach does somebody have? Do they have a beautiful approach to the instrument? Do they have a very technical approach to the instrument? Do they have a musical approach to the instrument? We want an all-encompassing, beautiful approach to the instrument. That's how do we hold the instrument up? How do we take the bow and approach the string? So when I practice the scale, especially this 1-octave scale, I have all of these things in mind that I want everything that I do to look very beautiful. Remember, if your technique or your approach looks beautiful, you will sound beautiful. So the first thing to do is to play the scale going up. I recommend on the way up to use an open G string and not a fourth finger so that we can feel the arm as a pendulum going from a low string where the elbow or the arm is to the right to a higher string where the elbow is to the left. If I stand in front of the camera like so, I can show you how the arm moves to adjust for each string. So I'm going to start by moving my hand to the C string side. As I'm on the G string, my elbow is going to approach. Now as I go back around, so you see how the arm adjusts to each string, and that's very important. Another thing I like to work on when practicing the scale is the string crossing and how I leave my third finger down on the string and make a tunnel to my G string. So as you can see, my fingers are still on the C string, but my G string is clear. Then I pick up, move my arm over, like so. I'm always aware when I'm playing scales where the half steps are, which fingers are close. So on the C string, I have the second and third fingers close. On the G string, I also have the second and third fingers close. That's a pattern, so I remember that. So we can look at that over here. You can see that the fingers really, really are close to each other and touching. And the same here. Another thing I like to practice this scale for is intonation. So I have a fifth. Then when I put my first finger down, I have a fourth, which is a perfect interval, so that should sound very, very clear. Another fourth. Octave. So I always check those intervals. So one more time, the C major scale, 1 octave. Crossing the strings with the finger down is really interesting to me, and it makes for a beautiful technique. As you see, I have all three of my fingers still down on the string. Then I move my elbow to the right with everything in my hand and arm being together and just swinging back and forth, including my thumb. A lot of people forget about the thumb, and so the arm kind of twists around in weird ways. But your arm needs to move together as a unit. Once I'm on the G string, I lift everything up, move to the side, and continue. That's a wonderful feeling. When coming down, I help my fourth finger come down by moving my arm. To practice this, I exaggerate things. So I put my 3 fingers down on the G string. I move my arm way over to the left to exaggerate the G string. Then swing everything over to accommodate the 4th finger. Once we get that down, there are other ways we can play that 1-octave scale on the C string. So we can play the whole thing on the C string. So I practiced this with 2 different types of shifts. The first is a gliding shift. So here, since I'm shifting to my first finger, I'll go to my third finger, slide myself into position, or glide myself into position, like so. It's good to do this very slowly and to really feel the whole hand, including the thumb, shift up and down the instrument. On the way down, I remember this note, which is my third finger, because I'm going to shift 4, 3, 2, 1, back to 3, 2, 1, 0. So I'm up here. As I come down, I'm going to put my third finger back and slide into position. That's a little more complicated. Let me show you that from this side. You see how the first, second, and third fingers are separated, but they come down. I put the second and third fingers together. Like that. Let me do that one more time. That's a wonderful, wonderful exercise. Remember, as you go higher on the C string, your elbow still has to act as a pendulum. Like so. One way that I think of shifting up like this is that I always have all fingers over the string. So you can see as I shift up, I see my third and fourth fingers there staying relatively over the string. So that all fingers can fall on the string in the correct position. So let's recap. The first thing to do is to practice a 1-octave scale. That's over 2 strings. The second thing is to play a 1-octave scale over the same string. Question. Should we do vibrato when practicing these scales? My answer? Sure, if you want to. Some people say you have to practice the scale with vibrato. Some people say, no, you need to practice the scale without vibrato. I say, I'm glad my students are practicing scales, so do it however you like. And always make variations. So if you usually practice the scale with vibrato, then practice it without vibrato sometimes. Practicing is like experimenting. So we always need to try all sorts of different things because you never know what really is going to help you. Another way that we can do shifts in the 1-octave scale on the C string is to use the Yost method and shift on the last finger down. So that looks like this. So what you have to do is figure out, if I'm shifting from the 3rd finger to the 1st finger, what note does my 3rd finger go to in the next position? So I look carefully. Those are the 1st position notes with the 2nd and 3rd finger together. And then that's the 3rd finger note, and that's where the 3 fingers are separated. So as I shift from here, I need to go from the 2nd and 3rd fingers together to separated. So I kind of work them that way. So slowly, I find that B. Then my fingers are already in position. On the way back down, I'm shifting from 1st finger to another 1st finger there, so I have to slide all the way down. Notice when I do this, I make the shift on the same bow that I already was with the leading finger, and then drop the new finger. Like so. Let me show you from this side. We can also use different bowings. I've been playing 2 notes per bow the whole time. I can do 4 notes. That's very, very helpful. Those ways are extremely helpful in defining your technique. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something from it. The next video I make will go ahead with the scale process and talk about different aspects of practicing scales to make things simple and effective.